Hello and welcome to The Big Vibe with Tev and Ty.
I'm Tev, full name Tevin. Also, like Tyler, we are natives of South Africa who have ventured globally to pursue and see if the grass is greener on the other side, as they say.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm Ty, or Tyler, as you can see there. I had the idea to just start this podcast. I don't know, every second person seems to be starting a podcast, so why not join in on that? But so now I thought it would be cool to start this kind of thing. Actually, the first episode is titled East Meets West, but from the South, because I'm currently living in Thailand, which is obviously far in the southeast of the world, with Tev living in the UK, which we consider to be the western part of the world, and then from the south, obviously, because we are both from South Africa. So brand new first episode, all mic'd up.
There we go.
Welcome
to it.
Welcome to it. And we didn't play around, eh? We weren't here with like
this
Apple
is official.
Earphones
this is real. We're not on our phones, so
Yeah, and I mean Tev has an excuse. He's in the sound engineering game, or more in the multimedia game. So I mean, I'm just eager. That's all. That's my excuse.
Do you see
for having a mic.
The links we're going to for you guys? This is all for you guys, man. This is all for you guys. So
hopefully the quality sounding good. And so generally what the plan is with this podcast is that we're going to break it up into some sections that we want to talk about from just around the world. In no particular order, we're going to speak a little bit about sport. We're going to speak a little bit about news from around the world. It can be like relative news or relevant news at that time. Or it can just be a cool story that one of us has come across that we think is discussion worthy. We're going to speak a little bit about, what else is there? We're going to speak about relationships a little bit, both of us.
Very key. Yeah, just share exactly some of the learnings we've both had. We're both newly married, and what life is like for the married world.
Young and married.
Exactly, and if it changes perspective, if it adapts your perspective somewhat in your day-to-day, and really just talk about topics that are of interest to us, and all the discussion around it, man. We're just here to chat, you're here to gain insight, you're here to learn, grow.
That's it.
That's ultimately what we want to try and achieve from this.
Exactly, and I think the final section that we'll talk a little bit about is being an immigrant or living in our respective countries, what we've learned. But this podcast is really at its conception right now. So who knows where we go from here? Who knows where this journey takes us? And we hope that you guys enjoy the ting. Especially now in the beginning will be our friends listening. So for sure we need some feedback. We're really going to need some feedback and some help. I'm hoping to get something in the background at some point. So I think let's run straight into it. So I think we would be amiss to not talk a little bit about the passing of Queen Elizabeth, which happened 9th of September, I believe it was, on Friday. And I think there's a little bit to unpack there. I think the first thing I wanted to ask you, Tev, you being in the UK, right? What's the vibe? What's the vibe like there?
Oh, it's somber, man. It really is somber. I think that's across the whole of the UK. Obviously, there's a lot more activity happening down in the capital. So London, everyone's kind of flocking towards Buckingham Palace. People have bought flowers to lay at the grounds, the entrance of Buckingham Palace. I think you must get used to saying King Charles as opposed to Prince Charles these days. So King Charles did a round outside Buckingham Palace. We went to go and give thanks to everyone in attendance for their support and kind of encouragement during this tough time. But
Meghan's there, right?
Meghan's there. Harry's there.
Harry.
I think the Queen's daughter, Anne, I believe her name is, she's there.
Okay.
I just obviously haven't seen Prince Andrew for reasons.
Quite obvious reasons, I believe.
There we go. But the country's, I'd say majority of the country is in a big somber state. Here in our town, we're about a stone's throw out of Nottingham, and a lot of the older generation is here. So people who have either they've served the country. So if they were in the military, some of them have had occasions where they've actually met the Queen.
Wow.
Once or twice and said, wow, what a lovely woman she is. So
there's been heaps of stories coming out about her.
About how her ruling was very diplomatic. She was always served with grace and panache, and how she was this rebel of a woman. So yeah, we've actually seen a lot more activity around here. Being a small town, there's a big focus on churches and faith here. So we have a lot more people going into churches to light candles, leave it at the front of the church. They have daily prayer gatherings, I'd say. So yeah, people are still in disbelief, actually. I'd say is
a little bit shook.
They weren't expecting it as quickly as it happened. I think they heard the news on late Thursday evening that she was feeling unwell and then moving toward up to Balmoral.
Well, yeah, I think it also was a bit of a shock because on Tuesday she actually was her last media sighting or whatever was when she was congratulating the new prime minister.
Yeah.
So it is quite sudden, and I think although a 96-year-old passing in context isn't like that unheard of, I think because she was seen quite recently, I think that's probably playing a part. But actually follows up the next question that I wanted to ask you. Prior to this, I'm not so sure like what your engagement's been like with people, but like what is the general attitude towards the monarchy as a whole? Is there even anything that you could comment on in that regard, or is it not really a thing that's spoken about generally?
From the people that I've interacted with this side, you generally get two sides. You get the royalists, and then you get, I don't even know what to term them, but the people who don't
quite
necessarily
anti-royalist, but
you're not anti-royal. You just not as invested, I'd say. And those who are, they regard her as someone that has given so much of her life to this country. She's seen as a marvel. She's someone that chose to take up the mantle as queen and did so with a smile on her face, as there was no complaints, there was no begrudging of her being placed or given this authority that she then had to see through for 70 years. And on the other hand, you have people who can't quite understand the need for monarchs and how it is that she's seen in such a glamorous light when she didn't necessarily have to work for it. There was no dedication from when she was an infant to pursue a career as a monarch, as a leader. It was thrust upon her, and she's enjoyed the benefits of it thus far. Her family, and it's interesting to see how strong people are from both sides.
Of course,
I'm someone that hasn't grown up with a monarch as our leader.
Same
so
here, obviously.
I can't really relate to the royalists. So this time it's been quite interesting to get some insight as to what it is that makes people gives people such a big buy-in to what the royalists do. I mean, you have accounts, you have channels, you have podcasts, you have so many different kinds of media that follow every walking day of the royalists. If Meghan has gone to blow her nose, if Camilla has chosen to have a lemon meringue as opposed to a black forest cake, you'll know about it. And it's insane just how much time and dedication is given to people who aren't really, from what I've experienced, doing much.
Well, that's kind of
my ignorance as someone who hasn't grown up.
So maybe we just don't understand the significance of it, right?
Yeah, that's a thing. And yourself, as someone that's seeing it from abroad, what's your take on, firstly, the monarchs and what impact the Queen has played?
So actually, there is something. It follows up with the question that I wanna ask you, which will lead into a little bit of our opinions. But in Thailand, there's also a monarchy, right? It's
Yeah.
also a, what do they call it? A constitutional monarchy, right? So there is a prime minister, etc., that actually does the day-to-day running of the country. But then there is the royal family, right? That's there. And actually, last year and a little bit this year, there's been protests, and it's the same thing in England. It's there's royalists and again, don't want to call it anti-royalist, but there's people that are against monarchies for the same thing, right? It's similar reasons like that. You kind of get to, especially in this day and age where it's not even your responsibility to run the country anymore. You are in this position of power purely because of how you're born, right?
Yeah.
Or the family you're born into. So from what I can see from the outside world, and again, I've experienced it to a small extent here in Thailand with the monarchy. It's obviously a lot of outpouring has gone towards Queen Elizabeth, and it's Katya actually said it's like literally like a piece of history has died because she's lived through so many different times and everything. And that actually brings me into the next question, kind of, that I wanted to ask you. So my question is that, do you actually believe that there's space for monarchies in 2022? Right? Should we be born into leadership? Like, how do we navigate this kind of thing? So here's my follow-up question, because I read an article, CNN in Nigeria, how they publicly said, and also the economic freedom fighters in South Africa released a public statement. Saying something along the lines of, we won't mourn her death because she and her, she represents a time of colonialism. And there's pictures of her in Nigeria all those years ago, meeting her, what was called her personal royal guard, etc. And she lived through big parts of colonialism. Now, I'm not blaming Queen Elizabeth for colonialism, right? That would be absolutely ridiculous. But my question is basically, how do you feel? Do you think that there's actually space for monarchies, like this idea of being born into leadership, and not just leadership, we're talking big, right? Like even in Thailand, the Thai monarchy is one of the richest in the world. Like how do you justify, or how do you feel about that, just in general?
I actually don't know how it is justified. I don't see the need for it. I believe so a prime example is in South Africa and Southern Africa. We obviously have different tribes, and each tribe might have a king or a monarch. So if you take a look at the kingdom of the Zulus, they have a leader for Zululand. They have
a chief
one in Swaziland as well, and their running makes sense in context to their region. So people of Zululand who are Zulu follow their monarch. That makes sense. Here, I don't understand the relevance. So in that it's so cosmopolitan, and it doesn't really translate
into like the new age,
exactly.
or being a 21st century
precise
country.
I don't think I think we've moved beyond the time that's necessary with kings and queens and monarchs. I actually wanted to comment on the Nigerian piece that you saw, because I saw a few things on Twitter, especially from Southern African countries, how I think it was the BBC ran a video story that spoke to the relationship between the Queen and African nations. And someone came out saying, it's not how you rebranding colonialism as a long-standing relationship. So essentially in summary, the video would talk about all her expeditions to these countries whilst they were supposedly going through a lot of oppression and internal conflict that had apparently nothing to do with any of the long-lasting effects from being colonized. And there's just so much outroar an uproar from social media. I saw from the likes of pretty much everyone from the African continent, as well as the Irish, who went completely left field with the reaction. You had people tap dancing on the road that led up to Buckingham Palace, almost celebrating her passing. You had chants from Irish football games. There was a chant saying "Lizzie's in a box." It was it was insane.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but
the kind of reaction that we were seeing from people. And I think one of the ex-footballers who's on a radio show called TalkSport here, name is Trevor Sinclair, and he came out with a tweet saying, look, for so many decades, the Queen wasn't opposed to any kind of discrimination, racism that was taking place. Well, not just specifically the Queen, but the monarchy.
Yes, just who she represented,
Yeah, exactly. Weren't very outspoken about all the racial injustices that we're seeing in the UK. So why should we mourn her? And I think that sparked major outcry from all the followers and listeners of the show, and he's had to be temporarily suspended, even though it's
did he apologize, or did he have to apologize or anything?
Didn't.
Okay. Well, big ups to him for keeping his...
Yeah, he was clinging to his truth, and as a result of that, he's, I think, been temporarily suspended from that particular agency.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, I think we can kind of wrap it up just by saying, like, rest in peace, Lizzie's in the box. No, I'm joking. But rest in peace. Like, and I mean, it's a controversial topic that it's interesting, and it will be interesting to see what happens now with King George. And I actually was wondering how long until they change the anthem. Like, if they sing the anthem now, is it immediately "God Save the King"?
They actually have already done a rendition of "God Save the King."
So it's done now. It's already.
Yesterday or the day before already. Once they held a service at St. Paul's Cathedral, they closed off the memorial with a rendition of God Save the King. And funnily enough, something that I didn't know is that when it comes to the banknotes and the money, it currently has the Queen as she was present on the throne, and that has to be changed now to King George in the coming weeks and months. So
so any new money that gets printed,
complete overhaul. So it's going to be him on the coins, the stamps, and the banknotes.
Okay, wow, super interesting. Well, I actually think that rolls nicely into the next topic, right? So we know that both of us, passionate Premier League fans, you can see in the background of Tevin's screen, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see there he's got a Man City shirt signed by Gabriel Jesus, possibly one of the greatest players to ever grace that club of his. Now playing at a different club. No, I'm joking.
It's time to get legends. It's about time.
But I actually wanted to say, so now there's been a bit of a knock-on effect. Just quickly before we talk a bit deeper, do you think that it was right to postpone the games? I read a few tweets that were like, from two sides, like on the one hand, in respect, etc., etc. But on the other hand, it's like, what about all the people that have paid for hotels, travel, people that's livelihood actually depends on football? And secondly, another guy was like, how better to give her respect? Like, you would probably hear the anthem being sang in like a way that you've never heard it before, right? Exactly. It would probably be actually an opportunity. Yeah. So what's your quick opinion on cancelling the games for the weekend? I know it sucks for me. Who wants to watch other leagues, right? But other than that, I mean, what's your opinion?
I thought there was a better means of doing it, and more so because the government had put out a statement saying, look, you can go through with your current programming for your respective sports. It's all up to you. So we're saying, ball's in your court, you guys make the decision, but we're not holding you guys liable, we're not dictating anything. It's up to you guys to make a decision what you want to do. I believe horse racing, rugby, I think there was another sport involved that continued as per normal. Ahead. Okay. Yeah. And the Premier League then decided, and not just the Premier League, the FA, so all footballing.
All football, yes, I saw that.
Premier League, that's Championship, the various
Yeah.
leagues, that's male, female, academy as well. All of them
Yeah.
came to a halt and postponed this week's fixtures, which I couldn't understand because, like you said, there's so many people who live off games happening. So,
Yeah.
be it the stewards, be it the casual workers, restaurants,
Yes.
accommodations,
Everything. Yeah.
transport
Yeah.
partners, etc. And I mean, we were supposed to go through to the game yesterday in Manchester. That obviously didn't happen. Thankfully, we
Yeah.
hadn't booked accommodation because I don't know if we would have actually got a refund
Tickets?
for that. Tickets still remain
Just moved.
active. It
Just moved.
moved to
Okay.
when the new date would be.
Okay.
So it is
And I
very
mean, also
surprising.
just on a logistical point of view, I mean,
Yeah.
with the World Cup this year, right? The fixtures are already
It's just-
condensed now.
Exactly.
Now it's
So-
like, when are we going to play this match?
Exactly, because this week got postponed. Next week is going to be the funeral, so there's another postponement there. And then I believe there's a 2-week international break. So you're
Next
almost
weekend
4
again.
weeks.
No Prem. No Prem
No
next
Prem,
weekend
because
again.
It's going to be the weekend of the funeral.
Oh, man.
So it's
That
probably
sucks.
3 to 4 successive weekends without Premier League
I
football
wonder if
taking
Europa and
place.
Champions League continues this week.
I
I'm
think
sure it
they've
will.
made a decision to continue as per normal.
Okay.
It
At least
really
there's
is
something.
just the FA that decided. And there's so many other ways in which they could have honoured her. Like you said, the
Yeah.
rendition of the anthem being sung
Yes.
out by extremely passionate people who
Yeah.
love the sport, people who believe
Yeah.
that the best dedication or testimony to her would be to go out, fill the stadiums, let everyone
Yeah.
just see how British people can rile together in honor of the marvel that was
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth. And I mean,
Okay.
nearly every time you have, okay, obviously it's not a death of this significance, but the armband, the minute silence,
Yeah,
there
the
are many
norm,
ways in
the-
which you
the-
can
yeah.
communicate respect for someone.
I would have understood. I would have understood on the weekend of the
Yeah.
funeral. That would have been
Yeah.
a bit different, you know. But I actually think they missed a golden opportunity here with being able to, I guess, just speak. I mean, just give a chance, you know, to and the Queen was a Gooner. She supported Arsenal. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if
apparently-
you know that. She was an Arsenal fan. So
Apparently the only
yeah.
team to have ever had tea with the Queen, so I
Yeah,
guess
so you
that's
know that. So
another thing to put in the cabinet of elitist
Next to our-
achievements.
next to
Yeah,
the
that
gold
golden
Premier League trophy.
Premier League over there.
So
yeah.
let's do a quick fire, right? So I want to
Since you're
talk
on the
quickly
Premier
about,
League,
there's no matches to talk about right now. So let's do a quick fire, right? We don't want to take too long to do this. So 5 matches in, 6 matches in, six matches game, 6 matches in, Europa and, I talk about Europa because it's relevant to me, but Champions League,
And
it's a
then
go.
Tuesday and Wednesday night football is also underway. Yeah, so that's
That small
also on the
tournament,
go.
that small tournament that happens. Let's quickly chat transfer window. A quick fire. We'll do Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Man City. I don't know if there's anyone else you want to add into that. Just a quick
Maybe we
out
can
of
just
10
speak
rating.
very ad hoc about
Yeah.
transfers in Europe.
Yeah,
Kicking off, Arsenal, Jesus got in, they got Vieira in, they got Zinchenko in. I think Jesus is a great addition. I
Yep.
find it very interesting that he's chosen to be a full-on out-and-out number 9, whereas at City he spoke to Pep, whether it was his words or whether it's just media
words
talk, that
or-
he
yeah.
had preference to play out wide at the wing, because that's where he initially started with Palmeiras, and sometimes also does the same thing for the national team. But great addition. I think he brings an element that Arsenal were missing up front, especially regarding his aggressive pressing nature that just lifts
Different
the team.
gravy.
So I think
Different
Martinelli's been
yeah.
someone
His
that's benefited
influences-
hugely from this. So they have a good thing going there at Arsenal. Still top of the table, so credit to you boys. Haaland, I think, was the missing piece for City. I think it was a brilliant piece of business, especially for the figure that they got him in at. I was expecting
crazy.
at least
crazy.
150 in this day and age. For
But aren't
someone
there?
that has
There were a bunch of hidden fees, weren't there? Not hidden, but like agents' fees, all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
I don't know. I could
and then
be
it's
wrong.
it's all the add-ons that could result in it being something a lot higher than what was initially the initial.
Either
fee.
way,
Yeah,
no matter
but
how you look at it,
great
great
piece of
business.
already
Great
hit
business.
the ground running. I think he's got
Both
10 or
tournaments.
11 goals. Yeah, already in 10 goals in the Premier League after
Yep.
6 matches,
6
which is
matches.
ridiculous. I think you came up with, or you heard the stat of what
Yeah,
he could be
that
scoring
if-
by the end of the season if he
continues on this in this vein, he's looking like 63 goals just in the Premier League alone.
Yeah, mad.
Golden Boot is there, I'm pretty sure. Like,
Yeah.
bar a big injury, which I, even as an opposition fan, you don't want to see that, because it's just generational. Watching him play is just generational. It's something else, and it's Gabriel Jesus did the right thing by leaving. People say he should have. He should have fought. Yeah, everyone's happy. They say he should have fought for his position, but I mean, doesn't seem realistic. Doesn't seem.
Yeah, when you get someone that's a different level, and that's no shade to Jesus, but Haaland is a different level.
Because Jesus is still brilliant.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So then, who else did you get?
Alvarez from River Plate. Plays out wide, similar energy, with a mold to Jesus. There was Calvin Phillips. There was Ortega from the Bundesliga, who's the second goalkeeper as well. Akanji, yes, who's the CB cover as Laporte.
Okay.
Stones tend to be
good signings. I think City.
Yeah, I think
City will. I mean, while we're talking about each team, let's just say where we think they're going to finish. In the Prem, I'd say City top. I'd say Arsenal, I'd be really stoked with second, but I really actually think we have a good shout for third. I'm going to say third. I think we finish third.
Are you going to put Liverpool at second? I don't know. I'd still think they finish second, but this has been a very, very slow start to the season for Liverpool.
Well, I mean, we can quickly chat about their transfer season, their transfer time. So Arthur Melo, random body on the field, not random, body on the field kind of player. Yeah, Darwin Núñez. I think he could be quite good. Yeah, so I don't know if he was worth that number, but the transfer league seems a bit broken in terms of like fees that people are paying. So that Fabio Carvalho looks pretty decent. Young prospect. Is there anyone else that they signed? Anyone notable?
I think that's
I don't think so.
Pretty much it, eh?
Yeah, I think they're battling without Mane. Second, I think they could finish second. Unless it's someone that like random, like if it's City, Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool, something like that, wouldn't shock me too much, to be honest. That top four, because Spurs are good. I don't know if they're better than Arsenal. I think we play better football, but I have a sneaky feeling they'll just get results.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
The coach that, from a defensive point of view, he knows how to set up teams, especially when it comes to the big traditional big six. He generally tends to get results there, whether it's a draw or a win. But Conte knows how to grind out results. Thoughts on the big shake-up at Chelsea? So obviously Tuchel got the sack, Potter got the appointment.
So initially I thought that if I was Potter, I wouldn't take the job. But then I stopped and I actually just thought about it for a second. I think he's destined for great things if he continues the way he's going. I think he's a very good manager. I think it's a difficult job to take on, but I think it's the right move for him in his career. I'll be honest with you. I've seen some reports of people saying that he should have just waited until the end of the season and he inevitably would have gotten another big offer. But you got to strike while the iron's hot, right? So I think, to be honest, I think they're super harsh on Tuchel because after everything that's happened, he took over from Lampard when it was a very unstable time, just within the club, managed to win the Champions League, which is phenomenal. We all know, I mean, as a City fan, you know what that must mean, even though it was at your expense, but you know, it was a huge thing. And then with everything that was going on last season with Abramovich and all that, he was such a good ambassador. I think he kept that club together. And I think it was a little bit hard. He hasn't been getting the results this season, let's be honest. But I think it was harsh. I think it was very harsh to sack him, to be honest with you. I think Graham Potter's a really good replacement. I think Chelsea are going to continue. I think they'll sort it out. Whatever's going on here, they'll sort it out. They'll be okay. What about you? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit premature, given that they're just given Tuchel the club's purse and said, "Look, get the players in that you want." He literally just got the players, played one game with them, and then gotten fired. So
Yeah,
I don't know structurally if all of the incomings work for the next manager. I also think the hard thing I'd say that Potter has to manage now is the fact that he doesn't have as much time to get everything done. Because Chelsea, as successful as you are as a manager, it's your last game that determines whether or not you have a job. I mean, if you look back at Di Matteo, won the Champions League, I think a few games into the next season got fired. So Potter just has to know that he's not going to get the luxury of time as what he would at Brighton to get things set in order. But I think he's got the characteristics of a great manager. He's got good ideals and he's got great man management. I saw a video
which Chelsea could use.
I think with Sky. Yeah, he's got a master's in, I think it's called people economics or something.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that. I saw that, and I actually believe that there's a lot of players that I think could benefit from that kind of management. I think, I don't know. You said you watched the Arsenal All or Nothing.
Yes,
the show, and what was really interesting was you see there's that young Spanish guy. I don't know what his name. I forgot his name, but there's a young Spanish guy there that also works one-on-one with the players. He spoke to Saka shortly after and I think he has a meeting with. There's a few meetings and Smith Rowe maybe. Oh, Eddie Nketiah as well. He has a meeting with Eddie Nketiah. But there's all these like little things where you really see that like little personal interaction, and if you're getting, and Arteta seems to do it as well as and it's really cool that Graham Potter, I think he's a good manager signing for Chelsea. But last one, United feelings this season?
They've turned things around slightly, so I give them credit there. Shocking start, but with, I think, players buying into the Ten Hag philosophy, him getting them to play a certain kind of football, it really works for them. I would define them as a very good counter-attacking team. I think playing to their strengths, they generally tend to get results. It's once they come up against opposition who are very
low block, like a absorbing kind of team.
Yes, exactly. That's where they run into some trouble.
Will be,
transfer-wise, okay business. Call it probably a 6 out of 10. Casemiro, I was very shocked at that, but I assume that once you won everything in the game at a club level,
and they offer you, and Man United offer you a huge contract, you may as well. You may as well go bank it.
So why not? He's a great signing for them, exactly what they needed. Anthony was a bit of a surprise for me. I thought they would have gone for a number 9. I don't think they have a lot of depth in that department, but Anthony scored on debut and he seems to have a lot of potential in the league. Maybe that's just him riding on the success that he had at Ajax. Although I see similar comparisons in my mind, him and Ziyech, where Ziyech was phenomenal for Ajax in that respective league, and once he came here, he didn't quite have the same impact. Great player, but I don't know if he does as well here as what he would elsewhere. Who else did they get in? They got
the left back, Malacia. Seems good. Seems pretty good. So
was on toast a few
Lisandro, Saka was adding a little bit, but he's a good player. He's a good player.
I see them finishing 1st this season.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how their season shakes out a little bit. Prior to this, when we were speaking last week, it was like, they turned things around, but then they went and they lost to Sociedad at home. Not a great fixture for them. Not a great result, I should say. It will really be interesting to see how their season shakes out. So I think just a quick top 4 and the relegations. For me, top 4 is going to have to be City is going to win it. Second place, let me be bold. I'm going to say I'm going to say City, and then I'm going to say, just because my heart is telling me, I'm going to say City, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea.
Ooh.
That's my top four. No, Liverpool. 5 Chelsea, 6 United. That's my top 6.
Okay,
my relegations. Yeah, may as well go bold, right? Relegation contenders this season, I think Nottingham goes down again. I think Leicester may be in a lot of trouble this season. I think they're going to go down. And who else is there? Bournemouth, I suppose. I think Fulham will survive. Yeah, Bournemouth. Maybe someone shocking like Villa, but I actually don't think so. Yeah, I would say Bournemouth, Forest, Leicester going down. Hit me. Your top. You can give me top 6.
Okay, tops. I'll start with relegation. Exact same as yours.
Relegation.
I think you've actually got it in the right order as well. I think Leicester actually finish bottom.
Okay.
Shockingly.
Stone lost.
Yo, man. Rodgers is gonna get the sack within a month.
Okay.
I think that's the nature of it. We'll see what happens with Everton. Maybe. Top 6, City win it. Man, I don't know what's Liverpool anymore. I'll say City win it, Spurs second, Arsenal.
It's a tough one.
City first, Spurs second, Liverpool third, Arsenal fourth. United 5, Chelsea 6.
United 5, Chelsea 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Champions League, I'm just going to put my 4 that I think are going to be in semis. I know there's quite a few other teams that we didn't touch on with transfers, but we can also get onto that. We can even do a separate show or segment to that speaks to that. Semi-finalists, City, Bayern, PSG, and Madrid.
Okay, City, Bayern, PSG, Madrid. And overall winners?
It's the big vibe. We're going to be bold here. I'm going to say City. Win it.
We're vibing out here.
City beat Madrid 1-0 in the final.
City beat Madrid 1-0. Okay, I'd say of all those teams, I think Madrid is probably the it's actually difficult to say. I wouldn't want to face Bayern in a once-off match. But then again, I wouldn't want to face PSG. I wouldn't want to face any of those 4. And maybe it's as an Arsenal fan, I forgot what it feels like to be against those teams. And I have some post-traumatic stress from what Bayern has done to us in the past. It's hurt us before. So
AFTV.
Okay. AFTV. So no, I think I agree with you. I'm gonna say I think City wins it overall. Can't really predict. You know how it shakes out, going to the finals and stuff. But I would say that's a good prediction for the 4 that will be in the semi-finals. And I do think City has the legs. And I think Pep's focus really is going to be on the Champions League this season. Yeah, I really do think so.
His future's still a bit undecided at the moment. But that's chat for another day. So, yeah. And then obviously it's a World Cup year. So not only does this postponement of league games here kind of have to shuffle the pack in terms of fixtures before the World Cup hits. But give me a quick prediction for World Cup. Who does well? Okay, so give me winner, overachiever, underachiever. You do those 3.
Okay, winner, overachiever, underachiever. Winner, Brazil. For me, I think Brazil is going to be the winner of the tournament. I think overachiever, I'm going to say, and this is going to sound a bit weird, but I'm going to say Germany. And the reason I say overachiever is because I feel as if they haven't been present on the world stage for quite some time. And I think that they're going to have a good World Cup. But I don't think that they are going to... I don't think they're going to win it. But I call them overachievers in the sense of I think they're going to have that stability. And there's not a lot of big names from Germany that we actually think of right now. Yeah. If you really want to think. So I'm going to call them my overachievers. And underachievers, I'm going to say... It's going to sound weird as well, but I'm going to say Croatia. Because I think they're a decent team, but I think that there's a lot of high expectations of them because of the Euros and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say either Croatia or England, although I think England might be, I don't know if you want to call them dark horses, but I want to say, let me just stick to it and just say Croatia are going to be my underachievers. I think they've set such a high standard from what we expect of them, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to reach that in the World Cup. How about you?
Are the Dutch in the World Cup?
I'm not actually sure.
Winners. I don't know.
Yes, the Dutch are.
The Dutch are.
They
So
are.
I'd say Dutch would be our underachievers in the World Cup.
Okay.
Purely because they haven't been on the stage for a while, and I think that comes with a lot of niggles, especially in the first few group games. And I don't know if that then has an effect on them in the knockout phases. Overall winners, I don't know if we're going to see back-to-back winners. I doubt it. So I can't say France. I'll say...
I mean, you could predict that if you wanted to.
Nah, I don't think. I think...
Is it coming
we'll
home?
see-
Is it though?
There's something missing there. There's something missing there. I'm gonna be... You know what? I'm gonna say they are going to be the overachievers
England.
in the World Cup. England
Okay.
will be the overachievers. Yeah, I think England are going to be overachievers. And the winners, let me wrap this up. The winners are going to be Argentina. Argentina are going
Wow.
to be
Wow, okay. The big vibe. We're going big, that's for sure. That's for sure.
We're going real big.
Okay.
Okay.
So
nice.
normally we say that we have all the segments that we mentioned at the beginning. I think we've kind of covered being an immigrant. Both of us have spoken a little bit about that. So I think we can leave that section out just for today. What I'm thinking is let's do the last segment for the show. Let's do sharing the love.
Perfect.
Right? I think it's a good one to have on the first episode, because I found an article that basically is about men and the relationships that they are in. It's mainly friendships. Mm-hmm. And basically the article is all about how men have fewer friends than they've ever had before, right? And that is affecting their health. It's causing depression, cardiovascular problems, and etc. So I guess the reason that I thought it fit really well into this is that, we're two friends.
Yeah.
We decided that we're going to take a shot at this kind of thing. And I guess it also ties into being an immigrant, and maybe we can chat about this for like 5 minutes. But like I've found that I've struggled to find and make good friends here in Thailand. I mean, there's a few that I've made some friends along the way, but I'm really battling in terms of that. And I'm in a very, what I believe is a happy marriage. And I consider, Katya, my wife, to be my best friend, and it's lovely. Yeah. And, but then at the same time, you need friends, you need more, what I'm saying? So I just actually wanted to ask you, what do you think is the reason that guys our age, let's call it our age, right? Late 20s into their 30s, late 30s. I don't really know older than that, but what do you think is the reason that men are struggling with this?
I think it could be a combination of things, and I saw quite a few on that article that you shared with us. I think they've taken it from the point of view of work and the workplace. Mm-hmm. So the fact that with lockdown, a lot of work from home started happening. Our generation that you mentioned specifically aren't people who necessarily stay long enough for long service awards. We're not built that way in comparison to our parents and the generation before them, who were deemed to believe that the longer you stay at an institution or a company, the better incentive you get, whether it's a holiday out overseas, you get a gold watch, you get one of those glass awards, man, that every
household, I know what you're
every
talking
colored
about.
household will know. It sits on top of your room divider there at home, and you see 10, 20, 30 years aligned next to each other. So I'd say we're a lot more honest with where we see ourselves and our value. And if it's not working for us, we'd happily pack up and go. So that's one of the reasons we don't have as much contact time in the office because of lockdown. And I'd say from my point of view, it's because gents generally build relationships around convenience. I need a certain place and time for things to work organically. So I must go out with you for a beer at a bar. I must
watch the game.
Yes, come around for the game. We're gonna go out for paintball or whatever the case is.
Yes,
I need an occasion in order to be around someone or share info. And when that's stripped away, especially in relationships, when you see that your friends are in long-standing relationships, be it they're married or they've been with their person for a number of years, they tend to gravitate away. And because you don't have the convenience of just driving to their house, popping in for a supper or meeting them at the pub for a game, that falls away. Guys aren't used to being expressive,
which is another thing.
The realms of a cell phone. Yeah.
Well, they actually mentioned that in that article, that men in general don't share their feelings with one another, and I like to believe that that's changing. I don't know. I can only speak from my own perspective, but there's a big thing that men very seldomly express, like not their feelings towards one another, but also like to just express appreciation, for their friend. Like, let me just tell you, I appreciate you for trying out this podcast thing with me. So that's pretty dope. But in general, I that was a thing that they said there, and I just stopped and I thought about, okay, like with my friends, the ones that I'm closest with, do they share those feelings with me? And I would say yes, and it probably makes me feel, and not on the regular, I'm not talking every conversation, but when you and I are talking, now we podcasters, so when we're talking off air, you know what I'm saying? When we're talking a little bit more personally.
On the DL,
On the DL, I find that at least both of us are able to, like, you can openly say to me, hey, I'm having a problem with X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
This is how it makes me feel. How have you been in a similar situation and how did you deal with it? Right? Like that. Yeah. And that's, I think, happens quite seldomly, So
what do you think the reason was that led you to be a lot more vulnerable with not only your wife and your inner circle, but just your general circle of friends? What?
That's a good question.
Do you think it's something innate, or is it something that you learned?
I would say it is probably. I don't know how much in the world that we live in. I don't know how much is actually innate anymore, if I'm honest with you. I think a lot of stuff has got to do with the way we are raised. And it's not necessarily to say that my dad told me that I need to share my feelings, right? It could be exactly the opposite. It could be that I never experienced that within my household growing up. And I'm not saying that is the case. I'm just saying it could be, it could be that you're doing the opposite of what you used to, or what you've experienced, right?
Yeah.
For me, on a personal level, I like to believe that I'm trying to, kind of just be aware of those things. I have a bit of a tumultuous history in a whole lot of ways that, we won't get into now. But for me, I've just found that it works in my life, to be a little bit more vulnerable. And I think the last thought can come from you. Why do you think that you share?
Well, I'm generally by nature very I'd say I'm an introvert generally by nature, and only.
But you have so many friends.
That's
always so busy.
That's the funny thing, man. By nature, and I've kind of had to step out of this safety bubble and shell, because the number of years that I stayed quiet and to myself, it gets you nowhere. Because that's just the nature of life. If you don't go out there, you don't approach people, you don't spark conversation, you aren't willing to create relationships, pursue your passions, pursue anything in life, it comes from conversation. Yeah. And if you're not willing to put yourself out there, then you're never going to get anywhere in life. And it's been a learning that's had to become a daily learning. And I'd also give credit to my wife, Lisa. She's someone that's also helped me become a lot more vulnerable.
Big ups, Lise.
Shout out, shout out, shout out. Yeah, she's really helped me become a vulnerable person. Open up about feelings, and it's not such a bad thing. It takes a lot of work. That's the one thing, that's the constant reminder. And change is uncomfortable. I think that's what we need to learn. And as gents, it's being okay with that, you know? It's okay if you're not feeling hundreds. You don't have to live up to this societal image that's been portrayed, that men have to look a certain way, they need to feel a certain way, and only once you tick these boxes are you a true man. Man. So I believe that being vulnerable is the first step in it. Also, just being curious about it. So I actually recently bought a book from Dr. Nicole Pereira, I believe it's called, and it's called the title's evading me, but it's something along the lines of doing the work. Essentially, it looks back at how traumas when you're younger has an effect on your adult life, and how figuring out what these triggers are and how you then work through it. It would aid you in your general day-to-day relationships, etc. So once I've gotten far enough in that book, I'll share some of those insights with you guys. But I'd say
I'm quite keen to hear.
Vulnerable and open is a big step. Yeah, and I mean,
I like that. The
last point on that is coming back to it being a place of convenience. If you look at your group of friends, how many of them, as a guy, are from high school, varsity, or the workplace? Probably 95% of that. So
the majority.
I don't think a lot of guys go out and make friends, and maybe that's what's contributed to things being a little difficult here in the UK. I find that the people here are very to themselves. They are quite cliquey and happy to stay in those circles. So it's very tough to
break into the crowds.
Social circles. So that's been quite an adjustment coming from a place like South Africa,
warm and welcoming.
Exactly.
And,
you can meet the guy on the street, they'll respond back to you. Here, not the case. It's something that's been quite challenging. But maybe the longer that I'm here, the more people I can be come into contact with and try and break this very stiff mold that they have going on here.
I like that. I quite like that. And I think just the vulnerability thing, I can say honestly, even you and I starting this thing, it's you have to break through a lot of feelings, of insecurity and etc. We're putting ourselves out there to an extent. Not that I'm thinking we're going to be hitting thousands of ears just yet, one day, but not just yet. It's scary. It is scary to kind of like put yourself out there. And this we're doing virtually now. You and I are making an effort to do it, but I completely understand trying to getting into the like groups of friends, or just trying to get closer to people, out there. So I think maybe that's a nice place to kind of end off a soft landing towards this episode. I think it's something that you and I will explore more in the future. So I think let's do that other uncomfortable thing that we're supposed to do. So the YouTube thing, if we're planning on putting this on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think those are the three mediums that we're looking at putting this onto. So for YouTube, what do we need?
So we need you to like, subscribe, and put on notifications.
No. Does that help?
That is okay. This is our this is our time to really put it out there. Friends and family that are listening to this, we are relying on you because you guys are the foundation of our greatness. So as such, we require you and your efforts in helping us build something. Because that's what we'd like the space to be. We'd like the space to be a place where we can just share thoughts, learn, because you're not going to get anywhere in life thinking you know it all. And there's so much to aid you when you just are are patient enough and open enough to hear a different opinion.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
And
so we like your feedback, your comments.
yeah, for sure.
Let us
Feedback
know.
for sure. But try not to leave us bad reviews, like official reviews. That doesn't help us at all. So remember, the rising tide lifts all boats, right? That's what we need right now.
Oh,
We're looking for some, but inspiration. Talk to us if you think that there's anything
Yeah.
we need to improve on. You can message us directly, especially if we know you. If we don't, you can obviously chat into the comment box. But I also wanted to say, in the future we are hoping to include people that we know as we discuss as a episode topic. We do know some really interesting and cool people that we're hoping to bring onto the show. And I think our plan is to release weekly. We're going to try stick to that, I think, is the goal. So I guess that is a really nice and soft place to leave it. Tev, anything else from your side? Are you going back to Leicester? When are you postponing that to? You're not sure?
So we're waiting for the Leicester officials to tell us when we'd be able to move our booking and toll, and then.
But not next weekend, I don't think. Eh? It won't be, because next week we'll be quiet again.
Funeral and all of the ongoings there. So we'll wait to hear back. So that gives us a lot more time to focus on the podcast. And again, yeah, guys, shoot us ideas if there's something that you think we've touched on that is similar, or there's something that you guys have come across that you'd like us to touch on, or you have an opinion on. Please do let us know, as we
areas of improvement, anything.
Yeah, man. 100%.
And yeah, I think that's it from us for now.
Yeah, thank you for joining. We will see you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you all next week.